Okay. In the last session, we talked about just a second. So we talked about security implementation, right? So we talked about different techniques, like different ways how we implement authentication and authorization, right? So what is authentication and what is authorization? We saw the difference. Like authentication is a process of validating the user credentials. Authentication is a process of validating the user credentials, whether they are correct or not. Authorization is a process of checking whether the authenticated user is having access to a particular resource or not. So this is, and we saw examples related to authentication. Like there are different modes of authentication implementation. Just a second. Yeah, this. So we have three modes of authentication, like Windows authentication, Forms authentication, Passport authentication. In Windows authentication, Windows account credentials will be used to validate a user, and this is the default implementation authentication mode. This will be used only in intranet applications. Okay. So when it comes to Forms authentication, this is widely used for a lot of websites. So it will create a cookie, right? It will create a cookie to maintain the user session kind of thing. Authenticated user will be user will be validated, and then a Forms authentication cookie will be created for that user. So passport authentication is like it is used for a group of websites. If you take MSN, like Microsoft.com, MSN, ASP.NET, like there are group of websites, Windows Live, Hotmail. So these group of websites will use common form of authentication. So Microsoft implemented this passport authentication. So it will create it will verify any one of the website credentials and creates a Forms authentication cookie token. So that token can be used across all the websites of its group. Okay. So to implement authentication, so we have a tag under web.config. So authentication mode equal to Windows or Forms or Passport, we can specify that in web.config file. So authorization, to set authorization, we have allow tag. Okay, right. Allow users ABC, then ABC users will be allowed. If I mention star, all the users will be allowed to access the secured folder. Okay, if I mention deny users ABC, ABC users are not allowed to access particular secure folder or files. Okay, if you mention a deny users equal to star, all the users are not allowed. Okay, if you specify deny users question mark, then unknown users or unauthorized users are not allowed to a secured folder. Okay, so we saw example for this. Then next, what is the flow? Oh, we talked about it. So, and to enable this Windows authentication, I have provided steps here. So the flow of Forms authentication we can see here. So client will send a request to IIS for a secured page. So IIS will redirect to the login page. And once we enter credentials and login, the details are validated against DB. If the user entered valid credentials, it will create a Forms authentication token. Okay, that token will be given to IIS. IIS will serve the request and sends the response back to the client. Okay, this is about different techniques. So to achieve this, we need to have application architecture like this. So suppose my application name is my website. So I have some default pages like this. news.aspx, new user.aspx, login.aspx. So I have a web.config file for this. Okay, these are open pages to access any website. Okay, these are the open pages, like no restriction to access these pages. So I have one secured folder under my website, like mails.aspx, inbox.aspx, compose.aspx, edit user, change password. These are secured pages. I want to only access, I want to give access to only authorized users. Okay, I want to give access to only authorized users. In such cases, we can add a web.config under it, and we can define one statement like this under system.web authorization deny users question mark, which means it won't allow unauthorized users into that folder. So like I defined this under secured folder. So under secured folder, I have a web.config. What it is doing, it won't allow unauthorized users to access these pages, inbox and profile pages. Okay, we saw example with this. like so we took one base page, like a default home page, right? Like I took a home page where I have news, inbox, profile buttons. When clicking on each button, it will take us to respective page. So when I click on news page, it will take me to news page, news.aspx page. Okay. This is an open page, or I can say non-restricted page, anyone can access, right? So when it comes to inbox page, it's a secured folder. It is under secured folder, so it can be only accessed by the logged in users. Profile page also, it is under a secured folder. It can only be accessed by logged in users, right? We saw example with this already. So let me run and check. Meanwhile, I'll comment the code. Just a second. So when clicking on button, I'm redirecting to news.aspx. When clicking on button 2, which is inbox, so redirecting to secured/inbox. When clicking on button 3, redirecting to secured/profile.aspx. Let's see that how it goes. So see here, I'm clicking on news button. So it is taking me to news page. Okay. So I'm clicking on inbox now. So but it is taking me to login page, because inbox and profile pages are only allowed by logged in users. So that's why it is taking me to login page. I just assign some styles to my controls. So the login page is looking like this now. Okay, I need to align more, right? So if you observe here, so the return URL is secured/inbox.aspx. So once we log in, so actually I clicked on inbox page in the home page. So I clicked on inbox page in home page, but it is taking me to login page because I am still unauthorized user. So it is taking me to login page. So once I log in, it will create a cookie. Then it validates me as a authorized user to access such restricted pages. Okay. So here return URL is the page where we want to redirect once we logged in, once we authenticated. So it's a query string. It will store the URL address to which page we want to redirect after logging in. Okay. So if we enter username and password here and clicking on login button, so we will validate the details like this. Login.aspx.cs. Yeah, in login page, we will write the actual code to validate the user. So I'm clicking login button. What I am doing, I'm just validating the user credentials, like select count of star from users, where user ID equal to username.text, password equal to txt password.text. So here I'm getting the username and password of the users. Number of how many users are available in the database, count of star, using the user ID and password. I have a table, users, user ID, username, password, right? So I'll change this. So this will be a username now. Okay. Username and password. So I have one user, myfall tested009 is the password. So I'll enter this and I'll check that. As I made changes, let me rerun. So I'm connecting to database and verifying how many users are available with the provided username and password. If I get 0 count because I'm executing execute scalar method using executing query using execute scalar method, it will return only one first column of the first row value. It returns single value because it's a aggregate function count. Okay, so I'm converting that to 2 into 32. So if I get 0, so that means there are no users available with username and given username and password. So we can display invalid username and password. If it is valid, we will redirect to redirect from using redirect from login page. We can redirect to the required page. So whatever the page we clicked on. Okay. So let me go to home page. So now I am clicking on profile page. Same thing. So I have to enter username. So let me try with power some test. Tested 1, 2, 3. I'm just checking and I want to remember the details. So what is the purpose of it? I'll tell you. So I'm just entered power and clicking on login button. Let me see whether it will work or not. So clicking on login button. Oh, sorry, I have changed label name. No, I don't have click event. Let me generate that. So I'll shift this code here. So I'm just rerunning again and opening the home page. So now clicking on profile page. So it is taking me to login page automatically. So I'm entering some random password and clicking on login button. So let me put a debugger here so that we can see what is happening. So clicking on login button. Now the query is getting executed now. So let me check what is the query prepared. See here. So select count of star from users where username equal to power and password equal to tested 1, 2, 3. Let me run and show you this in the database. So the value coming as a 0 because there are no users with the power name and with the password, with the given password, right? Because I have, as of now, I have only one user, right? See here. So that's why we are getting 0. Let's see here as well. right? Requires an open and available connection. Connections control state is closed. Okay, okay. I need to open the connection before executing it. Connection object. What is the object name? SQL card. SQL card dot open. Let me rerun. Go to home page. So this is like we differentiated pages like restricted page, non-restricted page, or open pages. So news is the open page, inbox and profile are the restricted pages. To access restricted pages, we must be authenticated. And that way it is validated. So clicking on login now. Let's check. So it is executed. Let's see the value in I is 0. So because there are no users with such username and password. So it is displaying invalid username or password, right? Invalid username or password. Let me enter the actual credentials that are available in the DDB. Mahipal tested 009. Okay. Mahipal tested 009. Test at 009. Let me run it. Now see the query once. Select count of star from users where username equal to Mahipal and password equal to tested 009. Let me check. So now I got I equal to 1. So there is one user, right? So here now what will happen? It will redirect from login page. So what this method will do? So it creates a persistent cookie. If I check the checkbox in the UI, it will create a persistent cookie. Okay. I did not check it. So it will create a in-memory cookie. In-memory cookie means until the browser session is active, the cookie will be available. If you check that checkbox, it will remember us. It will create a persistent cookie. So that whenever you log in next time, that cookie will be used to authenticate you, authorize you. Okay. So it will create, it will use this username and it will create a cookie and it will redirect you to the required page. Let's see that. See here, secured profile, my profile page. Okay. Now if you go back, simply just go back to home page. Now let me click on inbox page. Okay. So it is taking me to inbox page directly because I am a logged in user now. So I don't need to navigate navigate to login page because I already logged in. So it is taking me to the direct profile page. Until you log in, if you are not logged in, so it will take you to login page. If you are already logged in, it will directly allow you to the required page. Okay. So news, right? Inbox, profile. As you are logged in already, so it is taking to the page directly. If you are not logged in, it will take you to login page. From there, it will take you to the required page after authentication. Right? This is about authentication using forms authentication mode. So we have different. We have one class called forms authentication, which is providing us few methods to perform certain actions. Let's see one by one. Okay, so first redirect from login page. What it will do, redirects an authenticated user back to originally requested URL or the default URL. If you don't have any URL mentioned, like if you are in the direct login page, it will redirect to the default URL. Okay. Just a second. Back. Let me stop this. So we have different methods with forms authentication class. Let's see one by one. So first is sign out. Sign out is used to clear the cookie. Okay, sign out is used to clear the cookie from the browser or from the hard disk. Right? If it is stored on the hard disk, it will remove that. So sign out method will delete the persistent cookie or authentication ticket from the browser. Okay. Next, set auth cookie. So what is set auth cookie? So creates an authentication ticket for the supplied username. Creates an authentication ticket for the supplied username and adds it to the cookies collection of the response or to the URL if you are using cookieless authentication. So what are all we have to pass? Username and create persistent cookie. Flag. True or false we have to pass, and we have to pass username. So setup cookie will create an authentication cookie and it will attach to the collection, response collection, cookies collection. Okay. Next is authenticate method. So validates a username and password against credentials stored in the configuration file for an application. Suppose I don't have database, I have limited users. Okay, I want to validate them. So I will store the username and passwords in the web.config file. Something like this. So I'll store the username and passwords in the web.config file, like username abc equal to abc, password abc, like this. I want to store only few. I have only few users in my application, and I want to validate them. Okay, then I can go for this method, authenticate method. Authenticate will authenticate the users username and password against credentials stored in the configuration file. It is already deprecated method. Microsoft will remove this method in the future. So no need to because we don't use this method actually. So we don't store configuration file. We don't store usernames and passwords in the configuration file. So Microsoft want to remove this due to security implications. Okay. So next method will come one by one. Like first we have authenticate method. Next, get auth cookie. Okay, creates an authentication cookie for a given username. So get auth cookie will creates an authentication cookie for a given username, and this does not set the cookie as part of the ongoing response, so that an application can have more control over how cookie is issued. So simply it will only create the cookie, creates an authentication cookie for the given username. It does not set to the cookies as part of the outgoing response. It won't set to the cookies collection. We have to set it manually. Okay. So first authenticate. Let's see one by one. Next, this is the first method. Let me authenticate. Next, get auth cookie. It will create the cookie, but it won't attach to the collection. Okay. Next, we have another method called get redirect URL. Okay. So let's see what is this. Returns the redirect URL for the original request that caused the redirect to login page. So మనం లాగిన్ అవ్వక ముందు ప్రొఫైల్ మీద కానీ like if I clicked on inbox button, it took me to login page, right? So that in that case, to get the redirect URL, which means a written URL. To get that, so we can use this method, get redirect URL. To get the written URL, we can use this method. Returns the redirect URL for the original request that caused the redirect to login page. So when I clicked on inbox page, it took me to login page. So once clicking on login page, login button, so it will take me to the required page if I am a valid user. In those cases, to get the actual URL, we can use get redirect URL. This is also one method, okay, which we widely use. Okay. Next, we have hash password for storing in config file. So as I am storing here a plain format, clear format, I can also store these values in a encrypted format. Encrypted format. Okay, produces a hash password suitable for storing in a configuration file based on the specified password and hash algorithm. Okay, it is also deprecated. We won't use this in the future. Okay. Next, I think we have redirect. Yeah, we have two redirects. One is redirect from login page. One is redirect to login page. So we can specify both redirect from login page, redirect to login page. Redirect from login page will take you to original page which we requested before clicking, before coming to login page, right? That we saw an example now. After validation, we used redirect from login page. It will redirect to the original request. Okay. Redirect to login page. Redirect to login page. If you are not an authorized user, it is redirecting to login page. So to manually control that, we can use this method. Redirect to login page. So this is one method. Next is redirect to login is one method. Right. Next, redirect. We have one more method, set auth cookie. We covered this, right? It creates an authentication ticket for the supplied username and it adds to the collection of the response. Right. We have covered sign out also. Next, we have one more. Yeah, that's all. We have encrypt to encrypt the ticket. We can use decrypt to decrypt that ticket. Get auth cookie initialize redirect reference renew ticket if old. Conditionally, we can update. Set auth cookie IP. Yeah, that's all. So these are the different methods associated with the forms authentication class. Authenticate, get auth cookie, get redirect URL, hash password for storing in config file, redirect from login page, redirect to login page, set auth cookie, sign out. These are the different methods. Okay, let's see one by one. Okay. So here I have redirect from login page. So it will redirect you to the required page after logging in, after authentication. Okay, it uses this username and whether just a second. Oh, sorry. See here, it has two overloads. Let's check them. See here, redirect from login page, username, create persistent cookie path. We can manually set that path. Username and cookie, create persistent cookie. So only two options, three options, both versions we have, right? So that is what we passed here. So we passed username and I have a checkbox here, right? In the login page, I have a checkbox. Remember details. When I check this, I want to create a persistent cookie, which means which will have some expiry date and time. If I don't check, I want to create a in-memory cookie. So once I log out, the cookie will be cleared. So for that purpose, we added a checkbox here. We added a checkbox with the name remember chk remember. So which the text we have given like remember details. Okay. So that we are using here. If it is checked, it will create persistent cookie. Otherwise, it will create a in-memory cookie. So next we have setauth cookie. Setauth cookie will create a cookie and adds to the collection. Okay, automatically adds to the collection. So I passed username and create persistent cookie. Is it a persistent cookie or not? Okay. And using get redirect URL, I'm just getting the URL and redirect it to that. So we use combination here because it will only creates the cookie. Okay, it will only create the cookie. It won't redirect. So that's why I'm using get redirect URL to redirect to particular original URL. Okay, this is one thing. Okay. Next, getauth cookie. Getauth cookie will only create a cookie. It won't adds to the collection. So that's why I have created a cookie and added that to response. Okay. And getting the URL with the get redirect URL. So and response dot redirect new URL. Okay. Next, logout. So forms authentication dot sign out method will clear the cookie. So after clearing the cookie, I have to redirect to login page. So using redirect to login page. Sign out removes the forms authentication ticket from the browser. So once signed out, we have to redirect to login page. So using redirect to login page. Okay. Now we have authenticate method, which will authenticate the username and password from the configuration file. Okay, web.configuration file. So we pass username and password. So if it returns true, which means it's a valid user. Okay, like this we write authenticate text username and text password true. So redirect from login page we use. Right. Next, suppose if you want to, if you don't want to save the password in a clear format and you want to generate an encrypted value. Okay, so you can use this method hash password for storing in config file method. You can pass the password and you can specify the different modes. Let me show that. So we have clear format MD5, SHA1, SHA256, SHA384. These are the different encrypted modes, algorithms. Okay, MD5 algorithm. Just a second. Yeah, here. So we can use different algorithms to generate the password hash. So we can use any one and copy that, first generate it and copy that and paste it in web.config here, and you can validate that from your code. Okay. So these are the different techniques available with forms authentication, plus each has some purpose. Depending upon the requirement, we will use this. Okay, like this, like this. Any doubts here with these methods? Don't do anything, just place this, copy this and place it here. That's it. Nothing new here. Just first method, then second method, third method, like that. This is one way, this is one way. And if you have sign out button, you can place this text. These are very less used. No need to worry about this because these are already deprecated and we don't use them in the future. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts? Just a second. Okay. I hope no doubts. Let me revise few things here. So first, we created few open pages or non-restricted pages under our solution. If you want to secure few pages, you can create one folder like secured or restricted or any other name. Okay, any other name you can give. Okay, under that you should have a web.config and you have to add this line authorization deny users equal to question mark. It won't allow unauthorized users. Okay, this is one thing. So you have to create one folder. Under that, you have to define whatever the pages you want to restrict and add a web.config and add this line. Okay, this is one thing. Next, in the main web.config, you have to set in the main web.config file, you have to set authentication mode equal to forms authentication. So if you have a login page with a different name other than login, you can specify that here like sign in or user or any other. If you have login page with a different name other than login, you can specify that here. So if you want to store credentials, you can have like this. Okay. So authentication mode equal to forms we have to set and login URL we have to set if it is other than login.aspx. Okay. And next, what else we did? That's all right. So I'll share this solution, entire solution for your reference. Okay. So this is about security implementation like authentication and authorization. So we have a lot to cover in this. You can refer authentication and authorization from the Microsoft documentation. Okay. Next, the pending topics are like master pages and life cycle events and deployment. So master page is not something new. Like, so let me show that. We have one page here. Let me show that. I'll just give you the concept. You can refer it. So see here, we have few buttons here. First website, home, about, contact. So whatever the page we open, this will be displayed or this will be displayed. Okay. So these controls will be common in every page, right? Such content can be created using a master page. Okay. So if we go to home page, suppose, so it is displaying. Suppose if I go to about page, if I go to contact page, this is displaying and this is common, right? Only this content is changing, right? For such things, we use master pages. Okay. For such thing, we use master pages or web user controls. Just refer that part. So here, site master. This is a master page. Just refer about it. Okay. The common controls or common links like menu options like this and some profile photo, logout button and some footer template. Okay, these things will be common across each page. In such cases, we can design them in a master page and that will be reused in every page automatically. We can control that. Just refer that topic. The next thing is like page life cycle events. Page life cycle. So what is page life cycle? So when we request for a page, login page or user page or profile page or inbox page or news page, any page, okay. So what are the different stages it is undergoing to serve the response? It's called a life cycle. Okay, a page life cycle means the different stages a page will undergo from the request of the client to response to the client. Okay, from request to response, how many stages it is undergoing is called a page life cycle. So there are around 7 stages in a ASP.NET page life cycle, like page request, start, initialization, load, postback event handling, rendering, unload. These are the 7 stages available in the life cycle. So a request to response, every ASP.NET page undergo these 7 stages. Okay, we have different events associated with each stage. So if you take an example, like a diagrammatic representation, this will be the image. So from browser, you are requesting for a page. In the server, it undergoes all these events. Okay, all these events to serve you the response. First, pre-init, init complete, preload, load, control events, load complete, pre-render complete, save state complete, render, unload. So once it completes all these events, the response is ready and that will be given to the browser. Okay, after completing all the events, so that response will be delivered to the browser. Pre-init, init, complete, all these are the events. Let's see one by one. So first, page request, what will happen? Page request will occur before the page request starts from the client. During the stage, runtime will decide whether the page should be parsed, compiled, or cached result should be displayed to the user or client. So whether to compile and generate the response or cached version. If we are storing it in a cache, if we want to send that result, it checks that. The page request stage will check that. Okay. Start stage, what it will do? During the start stage, page request and response objects are set. And it determines the page request is first request or postback request. According to that, it will set the is postback property of the web page. Okay. So in the page request, it will check whether we are serving new page or cached page. Okay. In the start page, it will check whether it is a postback request or fresh request. If it is a postback request or it can be any request, but it will set the is postback property to the page object. So it will create the object and it will set that property. Initialize stage. During this page, controls on the page are available. In the initialize stage, controls on the page are available and each control unique ID properties are set. In the initialize state, unique ID properties are set. If master page themes are available, then for those, they are set to the page. Okay. Load event. We are already using this load event, right? To get the data and bind it to control, we use load stage. Okay. If request is postback page or control properties are recovered from the view state and control states. Okay. Postback event handling. So during this stage, all the postback events will be executed using which the page request is submitted to the server. So if I am clicking a button, if I am changing the text, so it will, or if I am changing the value in a drop down, so it is generating a postback to the server. So that event will be executed in the postback event handling stage, rendering. Okay. So రెండరింగ్ కంటే ముందు ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే వ్యూ స్టేట్ అనేది స్టోర్ అవుతుంది, కంట్రోల్ స్టేట్. ఓకే, బిఫోర్ రెండరింగ్ వ్యూ స్టేట్ is saved for the page and all the controls. Okay, the page will call render method for each control which will generate the rendering code and will be returned to the outgoing stream of the response. So మనకు సర్వర్ కంట్రోల్స్ ఉంటాయి, HTML కంట్రోల్స్ ఉంటాయి. Right, in a page we can have server controls and HTML controls. So server controls అన్నిటిని రెండర్ చేయాలంటే those will be converted back to the HTML format. Okay, and those state will be stored using the view state. So that part will happen in the rendering. Unload, all the objects that are created will be cleared from the memory. Okay, the unload event is raised after the page has been fully rendered and delivered to the client. Okay, once the result is delivered to the client, the complete result will be discarded from the memory by destroying the object, and then memory will be released. That will be performed in the unload stage. Okay, so next, coming to life cycle events. So under each stage there will be some events like page request, start, initialization, load. Under each stage we will have these events like pre-init. This event will be raised after start stage is completed and before the initialization state begins. Use this event for the following purposes. One, to check whether the request is first request or post back request. Second, to create and recreate controls dynamically. Third, to set the master page dynamically. Fourth, to set the theme properties. So we can use this pre-init method, init method. Next is init method. This event will be raised after all controls have been initialized. The init event of individual control will occur before the init event of the page. So each control, suppose I have 10 controls in a page, first each control init method will occur, then page init method will occur, like that. So we can use this event to read or initialize the control properties. Okay, init method is used to read or initialize the control properties. Next, init complete. This event will be raised after completion of initialization stage of the page. Okay, only one operation will take place between init and init complete event, that is tracking of the view state changes is turned on or is turned on. We can use this event for to do any changes to the view state. If you want to change something in the view state, we can use init complete. Okay, preload event. This event is raised after the view state of the page and control stage of the controls is loaded. Next, load, we already know about it. Onload method. So for all the controls, we can use this method to set the properties or establish connection to database or get the data and bind the data to the controls. Control events, these are events like button click, drop down value change. Those events will occur at this stage. Load complete. This event is fired after completion of post back handling and use this event for tasks that require on other controls on the page are to be loaded. Okay, if you want to load other pages data or other controls data to be loaded, then we can use that load complete method. Pre-render, if you want to raise some event before rendering, so we can use pre-render. Like if you have some child controls and you want to perform some changes to that, you can raise that. Next, pre-render complete. This event is raised after each data bound control data source ID property is set. Use this event to perform the display settings to the data bound controls. Just it's completely theory part. You may not require all the things, but just remember that what are the events. Okay, so like this we have save state, complete, render, unload, all this. Okay, unload, this event is raised after the result is delivered to the client. Use this event for the final cleanup of the controls as well as to close the DB connections, etc. Okay. So these are the different life cycle events, right? When a page is, when we made a request, until it delivers the response, it undergoes different stages. Those are called life cycle stages. There are events associated with each stage, like pre-init, init complete, or with initialization, start and page request, load complete, or related to load stage event, pre-render complete, save state complete, render or related to render stage, like that. Okay. Any doubts? Just refer Microsoft documentation on this. Any doubts? Let me stop recording. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.